once again to One Cardinal, One Cub, and one great big beer. Yeah, it's a tall boy again. So, um, anyway, I do want to ask you to please like us on Facebook because our self-esteem is so low. We need people to like us. Also, if you want to contact us, please do at one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com because our self-esteem is so low. We need emails.
Yeah.
You can support us through Patreon. Go to patreon.com. You search for One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer to support our efforts, which you need to do because our self-esteem is so low. And I do ask you, those of you who are watching this on the YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will be the first one to know when we drop a new episode. JJ, I'm going to do our beer corner. I've got my world's greatest beverage mug, and I've got traditional Budweiser.
The king of beers.
The king of beers, yes.
I can hear the Clydesdales already.
Dun 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 dun. All right, let me give you a little bit of history on Budweiser, traditional Budweiser beer. In 1876, Carl Conrad and Company of St. Louis, Missouri, Budweiser became the largest selling beer in the United States. Wait a minute. Was started in 1876, and by today, Budweiser has become the largest selling beer in the United States. Budweiser is a filtered beer available on draft and in bottles and cans. It's made up of 30% rice in addition to hops and barley malt. The name Budweiser is a German derivative adjective meaning of Budweis. Beer has been brewed in Budweis, Bohemia, which is now in the Czech Republic, since it was founded in 1265. By 1876, Adolphus Busch and his friend Carl Conrad developed a Bohemian-style lager in the United States, inspired after a trip to Bohemia, and produced in their brewery in St. Louis, Missouri. Budweiser is produced using barley malt, rice, water, hops, and yeast. The brewing happens in 7 steps: milling, mashing, straining, brew kettling, primary fermentation, beechwood lagering, and finishing. It is lagered with beechwood chips in the aging vessel because the beechwood chips are boiled in sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, for 7 hours beforehand. There is little or no flavor contribution to the wood. So that is everything that you needed to know about Budweiser, the #1 selling beer in the United States, the official beer of the St. Louis Cardinals.
That's right.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up. I tell you what, when I think of those, I would listen to KMOX and they'd always have Budweiser commercials. They always say, St. Louis, Missouri, king of beers. And they had some great commercials. Real Men of Genius, some really funny ones. I mean, I love the game, but the commercials were sometimes it's just a great part of the listening pleasure of listening to the game is listening to some of those commercials they had back through the years. So that's my memory.
Real Men of Genius.
Oh yeah.
That's Mackenzie. The Frogs.
Did they have the "What's up, guys? What's up?" Those guys?
Yeah, I think that was him too. What's up?
Yeah.
Why did that go away? Why can't we go back to 1998?
I don't know, man.
Everybody say "What's up?"
It got old quick, but yeah, it was a thing.
No. Hey, JJ, why don't you give us a Fantasy League update?
Ooh, the Fantasy League update. It has been, I tell you what, there's teams kind of on the rise and falling a little bit, but here we go. After this is officially, we're 6+ weeks into the season. We'll start with the American League, and for 3 weeks, go ahead.
We are officially 1/4 of the way done with the baseball season.
My, how time flies. I think as I get older, it flies even faster. I can't believe we're, 40 games into the season, 162 total. And man, how about that? We're already halfway through the month of May. I can't believe how fast it's going. Well, right now in the American League, in our fantasy league, the Royals have held down the #1 spot I feel like Casey Kasem, for the 3rd week in a row. Casey and the Sunshine Band. The Kansas City Royals have held down the first spot. They're 25-18, and that's Brody Jackson holding the spot. But he has to watch right behind him. Creeping up behind him is the Seattle Mariners. Andrew Gieselman, a half game back
Oh
at
man.
25-19. So you got the Royals, you got the Cubs right there. A little further back, 3 games back, you got the Tigers and the Red Sox. Tony Pruno and Ray Hartman. 9.5 back, the Angels. We'll get into the Angels a little bit later. Miss Candy Bark, she bet me a Mountain Dew that the Angels would beat the Cardinals tonight. So I'll be drinking a nice Mountain Dew after this show. And the last place team, Dan Rutledge, 12 games back with the Chicago White Sox at 12-29, struggling mightily. Over in the National League for 3 weeks in a row is the Cubs. The Cubs are holding on a 3-game lead, and Kevin Lee, who's been on the show, he's holding that spot. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Larry. Larry's got the #1 spot. But coming from 4th place up to 2nd place is the San Diego Padres, which is Robbie Spear, 3 games back. The Nationals, who have played surprisingly well this year, they're at 500.
Yeah.
They're 3.5 games back. The Pirates, who started out so strong, they were 1st place for about 3 weeks. They have slid back to 5th place. That's Kevin Lee, 7 games out. I'm sorry, that's Dennis Rose. The Cardinals, I was thinking of the Cardinals already. They're 7 games back, and that's Kevin Lee. And in last place is the Rockies, and that's Brandon, 10.5 games back at 13-28. So if we got to the end of August, and this was the standings, we would go into September, our World Series, and it would be the Royals and the Cubs, which would be a great World Series, and that'd be a lot of fun. So that's the standings right now, and we'll see if those teams can hold on to their 1st places.
All right. I got a message from Tony Pruno.
Oh,
And
Tony.
it had a link to it. This guy in Portland, Oregon was at a thrift shop and he bought an old jacket, and not realizing it was a Cub jacket at first, and he realized it was an old Cub jacket. To make a long story short, the jacket was from 1953 and it had EB in it, and his number, I think, was 14. Ernie, is your number 14? Yeah, 14. That's right. So, this jacket he spent like, I think, less than $9 on is worth $25,000. So,
Yeah, the power of collectibles, ladies and gentlemen, right there. How about that? I thought you were going to say that's amazing. I've heard of people buying a painting and there'd be a Hornus Wagner picture in the frame or something like that. But my gosh, fantastic. You'd never know what you're going to find at these antique stores and flea markets and such.
I was telling my daughter the story, and she said, what would you do? Would you keep it or sell it?" Without hesitation, I'd sell it. I know JJ would keep it, but I would sell that sucker.
I would keep it. It might even go up in value. I don't know how much more, but something like that. I like to show off for a while anyway. Hey, I was down Saturday at the Boys Dream Hobby Shop, which I'm telling everybody, if you like collectibles, if you just like to go look, I know Vince is bound down there, Tony Pruno, myself, go down there. It's nice. It's down 21 past Potosi. Is if you were going to Elephant Rocks or Johnson Shut-ins, little bitty town. Well, right behind Roy's gas station is this collectibles shop, and Brad Juliet owns it. Great staff. They'll help you. So many neat things in there. Not just baseball, mainly baseball, but they got some neat things. And I could spend all day there. And Saturday, they had Mr. Vince Coleman of the Cardinals there. And if you go do anything in St. Louis, it's such a long line, and they hurry you through it. I sat there and talked to Vince. He was great. We had a lot of memories we shared, and then I told him, I said, "Do you like playing in Wrigley Field?" Just because I had the one Cardinal, one Cub, one Beer shirt on, and he said, "You know what? It was my 2nd favorite ballpark to play in. We usually played day games there. All my family and friends could watch me play." And he said, "I just loved it. It was a great rivalry. The crowd was real lively." And he said, "We had some great times there." So anyway, he liked playing in Chicago. I remember the 4 stolen bases him and Willie had on one pitch. He said, I overslid the bag. They had me dead to right. So I took off and got him in a rundown, and he got out of the rundown, and Willie took third. So they had 4 stolen bases on one pitch. And he laughed about that and said, that's a great trivia question. That's a real good trivia question. So anyway, he remembered that. We talked to him. He signed some stuff for me. And since I'm on that subject, I'm going to share this, Vince, because first of all, I got cards signed. And since we do the cards at the end of the show, I was just going to show these off. These are some of the cards he signed for me. And he's 62 years old now, and he looks fantastic. A real thin, small man, but man, he was a fast guy and such a nice guy from Florida. He signed that one in silver for me. I like him running down the ball. He was a good outfielder. And then this card right here as well, very young. He looks young. He looks fantastic, good health. But here was the 2 big items. I got an 8x10, and he signed the base. I absolutely love that. But cool. This is why you should go to this place, because they made up things for him to sign, you could buy. And this was my favorite thing. It's a 10 they had made, and he signed it on the base. But as you can see right here, he's the 6th most in stolen bases. And there's the 5 guys in front of him and how many they had, some of his statistics and things like that. And you can tell it's a 10 right there. So that was some of the things I got. So if you're in the area, go down there. They'll have something you like, or he can get a hold of it, because this guy's got, I thought I had a good collection. I tip my cap. This guy's got, he's got me in spades right there. So anyway, that was a good Saturday right there.
Now, did you challenge Vince to a foot race?
No, no. He could probably run the bases before I get the first. I am 2 years younger than him. Yeah, that's true. No, he looked good. He looked really good, and he was so nice. And that was one of the best signing experiences I've ever had with a baseball player.
Very cool. Very cool. And I saw that he has Tommy Herr coming in.
Tommy Herr, he's got 4 Cardinals lined up. Oh, and I don't have the paperwork with me, but yeah, Tommy Herr, the matinee idol,
the one rival to my wife's heart. I just may have to show up there and just
tell him what's what.
Let him see what a man's like.
You might need to send her out of town that week.
I told her he's coming. Ooh, wow. So
yeah, they have him coming, and they have a flyer out, and I'll post that. Jason Samatachi, Jack Clark, David Freese, and Tommy Herr are 4 of the guys coming up for signings. And it was fantastic. Perfect day out there, too. And he's underneath the little tent outside of the building.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, Major League Baseball has come up with a new data metric, I guess we can call it.
Oh, okay.
Where they measure the speed of major league hitters, their swing. Not the exit velocity, the actual swing. Have you seen this, JJ?
No, I have not.
I'll give you a guess. Who has the hardest swing, the fastest swing in miles per hour in Major League Baseball? And actually, it's not even close. I was shocked.
I'm going to guess who really cuts loose. Aaron Judge? I don't know.
You're close.
Oh, Juan Soto.
You're close.
Oh, Stanton?
Giancarlo Stanton.
Wow. I did not know. I would have never guessed that.
His bat speed is 80.6 miles per hour. So if you got a pitcher throwing 100 and you got the bat speed coming at 80, yeah, you're going to do some damage. That's why he hits some very long home runs. Second is O'Neill Cruz. His bat speed is 77.7 miles per hour. Third in Major League Baseball is Kyle Schwarber, 77 on the dot. This one surprised me. Fifth is Matt Chapman, of the
Oh.
Giants, who's disabled now, 76.9 mile per hour. Then we have a tie for 6, Ronald Acuna Jr., 76.7, and he's tied with the Chicago Cubs. You guess?
Who would that be? Oh, Nico Horner?
No,
No, not Nico Horner. Bellinger?
no.
Oh, one more. Give me one more. Who would that be? Who swings for the fences? Not Swanson. Wouldn't be
Uh,
Swanson. No.
Christopher Morel.
Oh, I would have never guessed that. I didn't know that.
The next number 7 is Joe Adele at 76.3 miles per hour.
Okay.
And 8th is Julio Rodriguez at 76.2 miles an hour.
Happy darn.
Can you guess who on the Cardinals has the fastest swing at 74.8 miles an hour?
Who really cuts loose? Let's see. Contreras?
Contreras, very good.
He cuts loose. When he gets a swing, he don't get cheated. He takes
no.
the swing.
None of these guys get cheated. They all just go up there
and
they let it rip. But I think I've wondered before, how hard are they swinging? Because we have exit velocity and stuff like that, but this is a good metric to see how much power they are generating. And I would like to see like roided up Canseco or McGuire, see what they see what their swings were.
Oh man,
But
yeah.
Stanton, I was surprised that he was number 1, and I was also surprised that it's not really that close. He's almost 3 miles per hour faster than the second guy, O'Neill Cruz. Just amazing. Just can't keep his butt on the field because of injuries. And I years ago, late 90s, I've had back issues since I was a teenager, and I was going to rehab for my back because my back had a drinking problem. Went to rehab for my back, and this is when McGuire was hot, and I'm talking to the guy who's doing the rehab on my back, and I said, McGuire has a lot of problems with his back. You know, is that just something that he's going to have to face, or is it something that should be corrected? And he said, well, they can rest it. They can do all the Russian stimulation and all the other stuff, exercises, but he's always going to have back issues because he's generating more torque than his body is designed to do. So when I was reading this, I thought, well, I bet McGuire in his day was probably above 80.
Who I was thinking of when you said that was Gary Shetfield. He was always a very fast.
He had a lightning fast bat,
and he would take the bat forward. He would do a thing like that, and then he'd come through their vicious swings at the ball. Yeah, so that's when you first said that statistic. I was like, I wonder what Gary Shetfield's would have been.
Yeah, I'll tell you who had a very fast bat. Maybe the fastest I've ever seen by a player who was not jacked by whatever. Harold Baines, when he was young, came up with the White Sox. You couldn't see the bat go through the strike zone. He swung so fast. Just a beautiful natural swing, but he still doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
That is so true. Then speaking of things in baseball and changes and things like that, because that's a new statistic. I was going to talk about this later, but it seems like a good time to talk about it now. When Wilson Contreras got hit with the bat, and when we were playing, when the Cardinals were playing the first week in Los Angeles, we got a couple of catcher interferences, and I was like, wow, that's unlike Will Smith to interfere. And then I just know in the Cardinal season, I've seen this happen like 4 times where we'll just nick the glove, or sometimes the guy will come completely around and hit the catcher with the bat. I thought it was just isolated uh, things that were happening, but now they're saying they're teaching the catchers to move up so they can steal some strikes, by just, being up there a little closer before it gets too far out of the strike zone. So I was going to ask you, what do you think about that? Because the first thing I thought of when this happened to Contreras, and it's happened before, people's gotten hit, and not very often, and I know the batter didn't mean it or anything like that. But first thing I thought of was like the robot umpires. If we had the robot, I'm always been against the robot umpires calling balls and strikes, but when that happened, it kind of swayed me the other way because they would just call, you couldn't steal a strike from a robot ump. It would just be cut and dry, and still the umps still have a job and fair and foul and that kind of stuff. But maybe the strike zone, maybe that's a thing they could do. And the catcher has to stay so far back for safety reasons. And the batters have to stay so far up where they do have a batter's box. They're supposed to stay in that batter's box, and they generally do. George Hendrick used to wipe away the back of the batter's box and get as far as back as he could. That was George Hendrick.
Yeah,
But
all the Charlie Lau disciples did that. They
lean back to
wipe that back and then get deep into the to the batter's box.
Well, it makes sense. You can see the ball a little bit longer, before you have to make a decision. But what'd you think about that? That made me think about the robot umps, to be honest with you.
Okay. How much time do we have? This is going to be a catalyst for robot umps because now that you have an all-star who's on the shelf because of this, they're gonna, all right, this is stupid. The trend has been to try to move them up so that low pitch, you got a few inches to catch it instead of it looking like it's dropping out of the zone. It's an optical illusion for the umpire. That being said, this is why I'm for the robot umpire. First of all, we got the technology to get it right. Let's just get it right. Because, and I'm not just saying when it goes against me or when it goes for me or against me, or whatever. I am so sick of watching umpires who can't call balls and strikes. We've got the technology, just take it out of their hands because they have proven that they cannot call a game with 100% accuracy. Very seldom do you get a perfect game called by a home plate umpire. And it's probably see more perfect games in pitch than that. So you're always going to lose strikes or balls or whatever during a game because of umping, and we can just take that out of it. As far as Contreras goes, he wasn't hit by a backswing. That's what was weird about this. When you backswing and the bat comes back, you've lost a lot of momentum. So, and you usually get hit in the helmet.
Yeah.
Which isn't fun, but it's not like getting your wrist broken. No. He was actually hit by that swing going faster than a car in the interstate. Okay. The way I drive, going faster now in the interstate. So yeah. And there was a couple things that I kind of wanted to address about this. First of all, the Cardinals knew what they were getting. He's a great catcher. He's got a great arm. He's very athletic. He blocks balls good. Pitch framing, he's been in the league since 2016. He is what he is.
Yeah.
He's a bad pitch framer. Okay. I think that the Cubs, one of the reasons they let him go was because they weren't getting the robot umpires, and they thought, well, we want a pitch framer in there. And that's why they went with these defensive-minded catchers that have almost no offense. And we're feeling it this year. But I was angry because he was told to move up in the box by management. Put yourself in harm's way is what they're saying, so you can steal a strike every now and then, or have the ball properly called a strike or whatever. It's not worth it. How long is he going to be out? 2 months? I
Yeah,
don't
2 months. It's
know.
supposed to be 2 months.
Was that worth it? Absolutely not. He was the only player on your team producing for a few weeks, and now he's gone. And of course, last night they exploded for 10 runs, so maybe they're coming out of it. But to take your best offensive threat out just to try to steal a strike, it just kind of made me mad, made me a little angry. So we get robot umps. I am all for it. And I hope that this is a catalyst that moves us in that direction, because uh, this is not Miguel Amaya. This is an all-star catcher, a perennial all-star catcher that is out, that the Cardinals really need, simply because he was told, scoot up in the box, steal a few pitches. And whenever I was growing up, catcher's interference almost never happened.
Yeah, I go years and not even hear about it.
Never happened. Like you said, you're seeing it all the time now. But when you see it on a front swing, on the front part of the swing, you're way too close in the batter's box. And a friend said, well, Martinez was back behind the line in the batter's box. Okay, then it's the catcher or somebody to say, hey, he's behind the line or whatever. It's his responsibility, or it's the catcher's responsibility to move back. But like I've told you before, two things in sports I could never do: be a goalie in hockey or be a catcher in baseball. It's just, there's just too many things. I don't like being injured. I don't want a broken wrist.
Yeah, they do call it the tools of ignorance. And I was a catcher because I'm short and squatty, so I was built for a catcher, and I was a pretty good catcher. And I had a lot of collisions at the plate. But you're right, Vince. When you have a premier player get hurt, and this could have been avoided, and more and more there's catcher interference being involved. I'm surprised he's the only one so far that's gotten hurt like this. But I remember Buster Posey with the collision at home. It was vicious, and he broke his leg, and that changed everything. Now you still have collisions at the plate. Sometimes the throw takes the catcher in the line, but they try to give the runner a lane now, and I like that so much more. Take that out of the safety of the players. The plays at second base, they've taken that out now. You can't go in there and just run the guy over like Hal McRae. Remember those videos of Hal McRae? Oh, it was a cross body block and he knocked him out into the outfield. So
Yeah.
hopefully they get this straight. And Contreras has been such a big part of this team. And I love the guy. I love his attitude and his fire and his desire. And we needed a senior, a veteran catcher to come in and work with our pitchers. And he's an offensive catcher. He can hit, man. That guy can hit. He's got power. And I think he worked really hard to even make himself a better defensive catcher. And he's done such a good year he was having. I hate to see this, but I hope he gets back when he's able to, when he's healthy, and get back into action, because we sure do miss him.
Yeah. Could you imagine if the catchers do not have to worry about framing? Because it's something you have to work on. It's something you have to concentrate on. You have to persistently be aware of where the ball is and where you need to slide your glove, do these subtle moves to pitch frame it. If your catchers don't have to worry about that, and they know every pitch is going to be called correctly,
Oh,
they're going to be better
oh,
game players. They're going to be better offensive players.
oh yeah.
They're going to be better at throwing out runners, because you don't have to worry about framing the pitch. How many pitches do you see that are called balls that are strikes because the catcher has had to pop up and try to throw to second? See a pitch go almost right down the middle, because the catcher has to pop and throw, the umpire calls it a ball. I'm like, gotta be kidding me. Just do what we got the technology for.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Make the game. That'll make the game better. I'm a traditionalist, but I think the robot umps would make. And there's a few umps, we won't mention their names, but they don't know what the heck they're doing. That's a tough job. Being an umpire in any sport's a tough job, especially calling balls and strikes. These guys today, oh my gosh, with the velocity and the pitches they have, it's a tough job. I wouldn't want it. And once they got that strike, the square where we could look and see, it kind of changed everything. We're like, wow, that wasn't even close.
Do you know what Major League Baseball has done?
What's that now?
with the iPads in the dugout, they don't put the K zone up anymore for the players to see because they had too many players chirping at umpires. Yeah, I told you missed it.
Ah, I see. Well, that's probably a
See
good.
that perspective.
Yeah.
But if just use robot umpires and that will be solved. And that is going to move us in the direction I really want to go to, and that's robot baseball players.
I want the biggest and fastest robots.
You ever watch those robot wars, robot fights?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that's pretty good.
And that's pretty cool. So
Yeah, they got little buzz saws on there like the Mach 5.
awesome. I don't know if you heard about this. I know it's a baseball podcast, but softball is
Oh, I love it.
the 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 sibling of baseball. This LSU pitcher, Sidney Berzon, she pitched 14 innings against Alabama and threw 208 pitches.
Wow, she's a Cy Young of softball.
I think she had 7 strikeouts. But we talked about this about a month and a half ago. Throwing underhand like that, it's a natural motion. Yeah, that's why these submarine pitchers lasted forever, is because it's a natural motion, less wear and tear on the arm. So, but
Well,
I thought that was cool.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I love watching college softball and high school softball. I absolutely love it. Seems like I don't know the dimensions, but it seems like the wall's a little close and the bases are too close. I like to be. I mean, if you go in and field it cleanly, you got to throw like a rocket just to get a bang bang play at first. Seems like it's a little close there. Myself, I'd move everything back a little bit more, but and that's me. But I enjoy it. ESPN shows a lot of the college softball, and I absolutely love. I'm amazed how talented these players are and how fast and athletic they are.
Yeah, and I think I told the story on here last year. Maybe, gosh, we've been doing this for almost 2 years. So,
Yeah, it's coming up.
but um, as years ago, I was watching a game on ESPN, and there was a ball hit over the center fielder's head that he should have caught, but he didn't. And uh, Jessica Mendoza was talking about, how that play should have properly been made. And some guy, I swear I should not be on my phone when I'm watching games. Some guy got there. Yeah, some woman said this, I'd like to see her. That's like one of the greatest softball players ever. Yeah, she knows what she's talking
She
about.
knows what she's talking about. Yeah, she's been there and done it.
Yeah.
Vince, do you pay attention to the power rankings every weekend? Every Monday, I think it is, they have the new power rankings. I like just to see what they think of our team, and they'll talk about your strengths if you're doing good and tear you apart when you're doing bad. This week, they had the Brewers at number 6, the Cubs at number 9, the Reds at number 20. They're kind of in a free fall right now. The Pirates number 22 and the Cardinals number 27. And I tell you what, 27, oh, that's a reality. That's a really taste of reality there. But I can't argue with them. We are probably 27th right now. So nowhere to go but up. But that's the power rankings in our division anyway.
Hey, the David Peralta, who's been playing in AAA for the Cubs, he finally decided, nah, I don't want to do this. So he has to be let go. So he's on the market right now,
Oh,
getting for pretty cheap. And with all the injuries the Cardinals are dealing with, I'd take a flyer on him, see if he could add something to the offense at this point in time.
yeah, get it fired up. I've heard some rumors about the Cubs going after the Oakland A's reliever. Have you
Yeah,
heard about that? And I was
I
like, oh no, they don't need to get that guy.
I had a guy like 3 weeks ago post on the one of the Cubs sites that we need to get Mason Miller,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I said, why in the world would the Oakland A's, with 5 more years of control after this year with this stud, get rid of him? There's no reason to. And he came back. Well, that's because that's what the A's do, and he gave examples like McGuire and everything. I said, okay, can you tell me an instance where they had a player this highly thought of with this many years of control left that they got rid of? Of course, he couldn't because
President.
they never did. Well, now the rumor is he's on the market.
Well, that's crazy talk.
I'm I know nobody's coming to the games, and I know that Las Vegas just had a city council vote that I didn't have time to read it because I just saw it before I got on here. Something went bad in the vote for the Oakland A's. I don't know if
Oh,
they're getting the funding from the city that they wanted or whatever, but it's a mess. So possibly the A's may just be stripping down everything they can to load up on the minor leagues, which is their major league team. So,
right, right.
but yeah, if Mason Miller, he's really on the block, man, we've got prospects to work.
Oh
To
yeah, that'd be. I tell you what, when you guys got the Craig Council, that scared the crap out of me. Because I still thought we were pretty good at the time. And then if you get him, that's like you guys getting I don't know, Whitey and Bruce Sutter right there. I'm like, oh, good Lord. Now we might have a fighting chance right now. Maybe, probably not. But if you guys got that, oh Lord,
well,
we're doomed.
in Milwaukee, Council really only had to manage 7 innings and then turn it over to Williams and Hader.
Yeah.
Uh, with our bullpen being completely in the crapper, he's got to manage 9 innings, and it's it's an adventure every time we have a lead late in the ball game. And if we could just hold on to the leads that we had, we would be the best team in baseball.
Mm.
Our bullpen is terrible. We have the best starting staff in baseball. Our bullpen, I think, is second to the last. Just unreal.
Oh man, that's a killer. You work 7 innings, you got a lead, you're hanging in there, and then the bullpen. I mean, that's just demoralizing. But I think when Council took over Milwaukee, I don't have statistics in front of me, but I think they weren't a good team. And through the draft and some crafty trades and his managing the team, he made them good, always up there for the division title and a chance at the playoffs. That's how good a guy is. And I think you guys are already a big step ahead of where he was with the Brewers when he took over. It's just a few moves and a few players here and there, and look out, you guys will be right back in that window of success again, real quick.
Yeah. If we do make the trade, I'll find my comment on the site and tell the guy I was wrong.
All right.
I
Well, the
have
draft.
I have no problem telling people I was wrong. I'm wrong on
Oh,
both.
I'm wrong. Probably just as much as I am right. The draft's coming up soon, and I don't know if you've seen some mock drafts already. I think we're a month out, maybe perhaps at the end of June, the draft. But we pick 7th, and you guys pick 14th. And the Cardinals, each time I see a mock draft, the two I've seen, we're going after pitching. And there is a kid, a left-hander out of Wake Forest, Josh Hartlow, who is considered the best pitcher in college, and they believe there's like maybe about 12 like top-notch guys that could be any of them go number one. And there's a kid from Arkansas who's their ace, and Arkansas is like 42-10 this year, and he's the ace of that team, and he's really good. So one of those two guys ought to fall to the Cardinals. And what I've seen with you guys is picking 14th. There's a right-handed pitcher out of Iowa, Brody Breach, or a third baseman. I seen there was a third baseman mentioned in there too. So third baseman, or you can't go wrong with pitching. So that's some of the picks I've seen the experts picking that may fall to us and who we might take. But with baseball, you never know. Somebody could get hurt, somebody could get hot, and it messes the whole thing up. But I hope the Cardinals get one of those two top pitchers. I think there's three like top guy pitchers coming in there, and that's picking 7. We got a shot at one of those guys.
Well, we'll probably go after pitching, and that's one thing that the Cubs have done really well the last few years is draft. And like last year, we took Cade Horton #1 um, uh, as our #1 pick, and um, it people thought we were crazy. This is a guy who, before he put it together at the College World Series, had like a 6 ERA in college. But once I think it was a slider that he learned, a sweeper. Once he got that, he was unhittable, and he's been really good. He's at AAA now. So,
He'll be up here soon.
so what's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, in Cardinal news, we had a tough week. Since we talked last week, that was the game Tuesday where Contreras got hurt. And that just took the steam right out of us. We lost that game 7-5 to the Mets. And I can't say enough good things about Contreras and how good he's been. He's been everything we've expected and more. And he's a real good tutor to Ivan Herrera. And that game, it's just when that happened, it just seems like the steam went right out of us. We haven't been playing very inspired baseball anyway, and there's been a lot of talk of Mozeliak and Ali perhaps being fired. I think at least the hitting coach is on the hot, on the hot plate, but we'll see. We did get 11 hits and 5 walks in that game, but we struck out 11 times. Vince, it's killing us. Strikeouts, just put the bat on the ball. I miss the old baseball where you just hit the ball. Maybe you find a hole, hit them where they ain't, that kind of thing. Burleson did get 3 hits, and he's been playing more and more, and he's doing a good job. He that night he was up to 262. I know that's not Tony Gwynn or anything, but for our team, that's pretty darn good. He got 3 hits in that game. Michaelis had a horrible game that game. 4 innings, 6 earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts, but his ERA is north of 6. And oh Lord, he just usually has that one horrible inning. But our bullpen has been, for the most part, really good. Our bullpen went 5 innings and had 5 hits and 1 earned run. And even though we lost 7-5, we kept it close. And that was that game. So we lost. Wednesday, we had a rain out, which I think the team needed. Sometimes you need to just take a day off and, get your head back together. Because baseball, the thing I love about baseball, Vince, it's day after day after day. It's just treacherous. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. You just got to keep marching out there. So the Cardinals go to Milwaukee. We got a 4-game series with the Brewers. Hey, maybe we can make some ground. Well, that's just a pipe dream because we didn't make any ground, and the Brewers pretty much took it to us. And I tell you what, when they picked up Rhys Hoskins in the wintertime, I thought, Rhys is a good player. He kind of got lost in the shuffle in Philadelphia. Maybe he's got something to prove. And I tell you what, that guy has been maybe one of the best players on that team. They've got about 4 guys on that team. Well, actually more than that, but they got like 4 main pieces in that puzzle, and then the nice additions as well. But Thursday, they beat us 7-1. Wasn't even close. But in that game, the thing, I want to do a little side march here. People talk about, the Cardinals haven't been good for 2 years. That's true. And they say, fans don't want to come out. But as a baseball fan, I went through this a couple times in my Cardinal love affair. And one of them was in the 70s. And we weren't ever going to touch first place with the Pirates and the Phillies. And we were just right there in the middle, 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there. But I still got to go see Ted Simmons play. And Lou Brock, the great Lou Brock, got to go to the ballpark. Hey, there's Lou Brock. Bob Forsch, Al Rabowski, a young Keith Hernandez. And these young guys were coming up. We had Bate McBride, who was the rookie of the year. There's always something to enjoy out of the game. Yes, the main thing is winning, and you want to win every game. But but if that's your attitude, you're never going to be satisfied because you're going to lose. Probably most teams lose 60 games. I mean, it's just tough. So anyway, I found many things that I've enjoyed watching this year. We're not a good team as of this moment. But in that game, our young shortstop, who I think is phenomenal, Mason Wynn, set a record by making a play, and he has been phenomenal this year, throwing the ball across the infield and got an out at 101.2 miles an hour. That's amazing.
Wow.
So the way they can measure these statistics now, this is since they've had Stratocast since 2015. So anything that happened before that, they really couldn't measure it. But he is a phenomenal player. He's played great. And he also is second in defensive runs saved right now, only to Bobby Witt from the Kansas City Royals. So my gosh, he's playing so good. And if there's anything you can enjoy out of the game, is watch this kid. He's a little he's a little more than confident. He's a little cocky, but I like that in a player. Hit the ball to me. I'll take care of it. Sometimes if there's a guy at second, he's close enough, he'll just step on the bag and throw it himself. And I like this kid a lot. He goes out there with his back to the home plate, makes some plays, some sliding catches, throws across the diamond. So with him and Arenado on that left side, I just absolutely, I'd pay tickets just to watch those two play defense right there. So that was good. We did lose the game, and it wasn't even competitive. We lost 7-1. And but some things to take out of it. We got this kid, Michael Ciani, and I didn't know anything about him. I just know we played the baseball game, and he was always on the bench, and I never even heard of the guy, and he was always very fast. And he's getting to play every day, and he's getting better and better and better. And he had 2 hits in that game. Lars hit his 3rd home run, and so anyway, we lost and 7-1. What can you say about that? Friday, the 10th, we lose 11-2 again. Not even competitive, and it's kind of shades of last year. We're just spiraling down and down. I think Friday was our 6th loss in a row. Lance Lynn took the loss. I've never seen Goldschmidt struggling so poorly. At that point, he was over 28, and he's striking out more than I've ever seen him strike out. I know he gets to the field early. He works hard. He's been playing great defense, but he just can't buy himself a hit. And when he does it hard, it's right at somebody. So anyway, that's been part of the problem. Wynn got a 6th stolen base, and Gorman his 5th home run, although he's only hitting 179. And that guy, he always starts out every at bat, no balls, 2 strikes. So that's kind of the thing on Gorman. It's amazing. They always get 2 strikes on him before we can even blink. So anyway, Saturday, that's kind of as bad as it could get. We lost 5-3. We had the game in our hands, Vince. We had the games in our hands, and Rhys Hoskins hits a 3-run homer and takes it right out from us. And I don't know. It's just 7 losses in a row. We fell deep into last place, and not very inspiring. Something's got to give. You can just feel it. There's going to have to be a change. There was talk of us trading. Let's just gut the team. Let's get rid of anybody of any value except for the young players who have a lot of time, and let's just play for another day. Because the Cardinals we've never, even years we win it, we're just sort of a good team or an okay team, and we're right there in the middle. We're never going to go down to the bottom. And maybe that's a thing. You just revamp it, just rebuild the whole thing. I don't know if Cardinal fans would set through years of that, but that's kind of what I've been hearing a lot of. But Saturday, we won a game. Praise the Lord. Saturday, March 12th, we went 4-3, and we salvaged the last game against the Brewers, who've owned us in the last couple of years. So we go 1-3 in that series. We did get 11 hits, 7 walks, and we only struck out 5 times. So that's better because we've been striking out way more than we walk. Ciani got 2 hits. He's up to 250. I like how he plays. He stole a base. He's bunting. He's stealing. Carpenter has come back off the DL, and actually, they got him hitting leadoff, and he takes good at bats. Vince, me and you could beat him in a leg race, but that guy takes good at bats. And now that they don't have all 3 guys on one side of the field and have opened up the field a little bit for him, it's kind of what the doctor ordered. He looks like a different hitter than he did his last 2 or 3 years here in St. Louis, and I like having him on the bench. He's been he's done very good when he's called upon. Goldie had 2 hits and Herrera had 2 hits. Herrera will get most of the playing time now that Contreras is out, and they call Pages up to be the backup, and he gets to play a little bit. He got his first start the other day. Michaelis went 6 innings with 3 earned runs, so he had a quality start. His ERA is still north of 6, but he is 3-5, and the bullpen went 3 innings and only gave up 1 hit, no runs, 5 strikeouts, no walks. The bullpen's been very good this year. And then Monday we played the Angels, and Vince, I got out of a comedy show and we were down 4-0. I was like, the Angels are beating us 4-0. We had 2 hits going through the 7th inning, and I was like, what's worse than this? And then all of a sudden, I was on 67, and I listened to 1 inning all the way home, across 110, down 21 to Potosi. 1 inning went on, it seemed like 40 minutes. and we scored 8 runs. That's unheard of. You guys, if you've been following the Cardinals this year, it's just been like pulling teeth to get any kind of rally going, and everything seemed to go our way. Goldie got hit with a ball with bases loaded. Everything. They fumbled the ball. We would leg stuff out. Because we got some team speed. We're a very fast team this year. But Libator just didn't have it. 3 1/3, although he went from the bullpen back to starting because Matz is out and looked bad. But the bullpen came in and pitched 5 2/3 and only got 2 hits. So we got this kid we got named Kyle Leahy, and the last 2 times he's pitched, it's been in like long relief, and he's done a fantastic job. Sometimes when you're just like people are hurt, you find a diamond in the rough. This kid has done a real good job. Fernandez has done a good job. Kittredge, who I was bragging on the other day when we went to the game, and then they hit a home run off of him. But for the most part, he's done a good job, and Helsley's just lights out. But anyway, Leahy went 2 2/3 innings, no runs, 3 strikeouts. It was fantastic. So we pulled out 2 wins. We've tied the Reds. I'm hanging any victory, anything we can claw and grab at. We're tied for 4th right now, and we won 2 games and we lost 4. But we're only a quarter of the way through the thing. 500 was always my goal this year. If we could just play 500, because 500 are close to the playoffs. But we got a long way to go. I believe we're 17 and 24, so we're 7 games under right now. But let's see what happens. 2-game winning streak. Let's keep it going. And we got Sonny Gray on the mound tonight against the Angels. And, odds are in our favor tonight.
Now, if the Cardinals do trade,
Yeah.
being their bullpen is so strong, I see Helsley as a trade candidate.
I do too. He can bring a lot back.
Yeah, especially getting close to the deadline. A team like the Cubs, I don't know if the Cardinals would deal with the Cubs. They haven't done it for 20 some odd years, 30.
We've traded many times through the years, but yeah, it's been a while.
So if Helsley's available, we have anywhere from the first, second, or third rated, depending on where you're looking at minor leagues. Maybe we could be trade partners because we desperately need late inning help.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ahead and this is just a week's transaction for the Cubs, and this has kind of been par for the course. Alexander Canario sent to the minor leagues. Keegan Thompson's called up. Daniel Palencia, 15-day IL. Cody Bellinger comes off the IL. Seiya Suzuki comes off the IL. What happens? Dansby Swanson goes on the IL, and Yancy Almonte is on the 15-day IL. Almonte has been great for us, and that one really hurts because our bullpen sucks, and he's been the steadiest presence there. Jose Cuas has been recalled to take Almonte's place. Kyle Hendricks came off the IL, but Adbert Alzolay went on the IL. Richard Lovelady, who I wanted to succeed because I love the name, he got DFA'd after being knocked around a little bit. And so we did trade Jake Slaughter, who's been in AAA playing corner infield positions. We traded him to Seattle for reliever Tyson Miller, which hopefully would help a little bit. We don't see him as a high leverage guy, but we need players everywhere. So let me quickly get into our week. We did go 3-3 this week. Tuesday I got off of here, and we are losing 2-0 to the Padres. And in the 6th inning, Bellinger hits a home run. And Christopher Morel also hits a sacrifice fly. So it's 2-2, and it starts raining hard. Bottom of the 9th, very first pitch, Michael Bush up hits a walk-off home run in the 9th, which was a thing of beauty in that rain. Very first pitch, there it went. So in that game, Bellinger had 3 hits, including his home run. Bush had a couple hits, including the home run. Imanaga pitched 7 innings, gave up 7 hits, gave up 2 runs. First time he's given up 2 earned runs in a game, and his ERA ballooned to 1.08. Almonte pitched the 8th, Neris pitched the 9th, and Neris got the win. So the the next day we played San Diego again, and we lost 3-0. Dylan Cease pitched a one-hitter. That's what we get for trading him away. And Wisniewski pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, and his ERA ballooned to 1.59. I don't know how he's going to make it either. But he actually pitched really well. A lot of softies fell in and found holes. But that's one of those games where you tip your hat to Dylan Cease and say, gee, sir, I'm sorry we traded you away along with Eloy Jimenez for Jose Quintana.
Oh,
So we start the weekend on Friday, like everybody starts the weekend on Friday. We beat Pittsburgh 7-2. First game in Pittsburgh. Bellinger, who's been on a tear since he's been back, 4 hits in 5 at bats, hit a 7th home run. Christopher Morel, 2 hits, an RBI. Ian Happ, 2 hits and an RBI. Nick Madrigal actually had 2 RBIs, and so 7 runs is pretty good for us. And gosh, I need a way to flip papers that is more smooth. I don't know.
yeah.
But Javier Assad started that game. He only made it to 4 1/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and his ERA ballooned to 1.70. But Ben Brown came in and finished the game 3 2/3 innings, only gave up 2 hits, struck out 6. Ben Brown is a stud. I want to see him move to the end of the bullpen. He's the guy I've talked about for a couple of years. It's got that fastball that goes nearly 100 and that wicked curveball. It reminds me so much of Wainwright. Then Saturday, we played Pittsburgh and we lost 10-9.
Oh,
But we did set a record. We had 6 bases loaded walks in 1 inning.
wow.
Yeah. So
you guys walked. They walked you.
yeah, we walked. Talkman had a couple of hits, a couple RBIs. Suzuki had a couple of hits coming back. Warner hit a home run. Mastroboni had 3 hits, first 3 hits of the year. And we faced Paul Skeen. It was his major league debut. Boy, he looked good, but man, we grinded away at him and got to him. Steele started for us. This is just his 3rd outing of the year. First bad one, 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs. Keegan Thompson came in and decided he didn't want to be a major league player anymore because we were actually up 8-6 after all those walks, and Keegan Thompson came in and just completely crapped the bed. And then Lovelady came in and finished crapping the bed for us. So, and that's why Keegan Thompson's in the minors, and Richard Lovelady is looking for a job right now. So Sunday we played Pittsburgh. We win 5-4. One of these games that drive me nuts. Morel had 2 hits, including his 9th home run. Wisdom had 3 hits, including his 2nd home run. And we are, it's 2-2 going into the 10th inning. And we score 3 runs. So it's 5-2. Okay. By the way, Hendricks came off the disabled list, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, his first good outing of the year. His ERA is all the way down to 10.04. That's how good of an outing that was, because it was above 12.
Wow.
So in the 9th, it's 2-2. We've got Narrison, and Narris pitches the 9th inning, and then we come up at the top of the 10th. We score 3. We don't have anyone left in the bullpen but Adbert Alzolay, who has been terrible this year. There's the runner on second base because it's the bottom of the 10th, and I think it's the second pitch that Alzolay throws, another home run. I think he's given up 6 home runs so far this year. So it's suddenly 5-4, but somehow he wiggles out of it for his 4th save, even though 1 inning pitched, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. He did get his 4th save. So last night we play the Braves, and we lost 2-0. The only good thing, Imanaga, 5 innings pitched, no earned runs, no runs at all. His ERA is below 1 again at 0.96. We bring in Wesneski for the last 3 innings. He gives up the 2 runs. I don't care. We got shut out. So we finished the week 3-3, and I'm kind of in this mode where, until we get healthy and the bullpen figured out, I'm just hoping we hang on and stay in the race until things get figured out. We are going to definitely have to, as the deadline gets near, we're definitely going to have to trade and get some bullpen help. When all of our starters are completely healed, that's going to be able to move Wisniewski and Brown to the bullpen, which should help. I don't know if they're ready to close yet, but that's where we're at. So I'm happy to go 3-3. I wish it was better, but we are a banged up team. And I said a few weeks ago, we're kind of doing it with mirrors, especially with the bullpen. We're still kind of doing it with mirrors. And as long as Milwaukee doesn't catch fire or someone else catch fire and run away from us, I'm okay.
I would be happy. You guys have so many injuries, and you're hanging right there with the Brewers, who are a good team too. And you Pirates, the Reds, and us have fallen way back. So you got a little gap room in there too. So you're sitting in a good spot right now at the quarter-way mark.
Yeah. Yeah, who else is setting at a good spot?
Oh, he's the king. Oh, Jeremy Conner sitting in a good spot.
Jeremy. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Conner, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. We are going to do spotlights, and oddly enough, we're both doing spotlights on people named Vince.
Hey, Vince Hopper. We both do Vince Hopper.
Close. You want to go first, or?
Why, sure. I'm doing mine since I got to meet and talk with old Vince Coleman. He was such a nice guy. I'll show that picture one more time. Sign the base. Vince Coleman. I'm doing mine on Vince Coleman. If Vince Coleman was this phenom that I would hear about in the Post-Dispatch, they'd write about him. This is pre-internet. Now you know everything about every guy, good, bad, whatever. You can't get away from it. Back then, people would just talk, because down the minors, what's going on? And every Sunday they would have down the minors and tell us some of the best things these guys were doing. By the way, Vince Coleman is now 62 years old. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. He originally got drafted out of Florida A&M in 1981 in the 20th round by the Philadelphia Phillies. I didn't know that. He stayed in school, and then we drafted him. The Cardinals, I'm sorry, I always say we. The Cardinals drafted him in 1982, coming off during our World Championship year, in the 10th round. And this guy was phenomenal. He went down. And matter of fact, he actually was a walk-on with the Washington Redskins, because in college he was a kicker. He was a punter and a kicker, and that's what he wanted to do. But the Redskins, in their wisdom, wanted to make him a wide receiver. And he has an uncle, our cousin, who was a kicker in the NFL for 12 years. Let's see. He kicked for the Minnesota. Greg Coleman. I don't know if you remember that name, but that was his relative who kicked in. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to follow in his relatives' footsteps and be a kicker, but they wanted to make him a receiver, and that's when he quit. He didn't want to be a receiver in the NFL. He wanted to be a kicker. Evidently, a very good punter and kicker. Won a lot of games with like a 35-yard field goal and things like that. So he's very talented. Many different sports. Very athletic. But we drafted him in 82. He goes down to the minor leagues. By the way, some of his accomplishments in college. Get a load of this. In 1981, in one game, he stole 7 bases. Things like that just grab people's eye. 7 bases. Some guys don't do that in a whole year. That's one game. He also had 65 stolen bases in a college baseball season, which at the time was a record. And he had the highest stolen base percentage also after so many attempts. He had that record as well in college. let's see. He goes down in the minors in 1982 and steals 145 bases for the Macon Redbirds, which was a record. I think it's been broken since. But 145 stolen bases. Now you think, wow, that's fantastic. But he also missed a month of the season because he was injured. So he did that with a month off the season. That's
Wow.
phenomenal. Yeah. So this guy's just lighting it up. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, man, if he could just hit, where we're going to play this guy. But he was such a super athlete. Um, and he in 1984 he went to AAA, which of course, as you go up, the competition gets better. He stole 101 bases at AAA at Louisville. At the time was our AAA team. So anyway, he comes up to the Cardinals and he makes his debut in April 18th, 1985, at the age of 23 against the Montreal Expos, and goes 1 for 3 with 2 stolen bases. And Vince, I've never seen anything like this. He was so confident. Like some guys, you don't know. I remember Colt Wong had some speed, but he just didn't have the arrogance that Vince had on it. You knew Vince was going to go. Only a few guys, Ricky Henderson and Lou Brock, he was more of a cerebral guy. He would get a big lead. Biggest lead off I ever seen anybody get was Lou Brock. And then, he might go, he might not. It was that kind of game, but you knew Vince was going. So in 1985, that season, he played 151 games, had 170 hits. This is his rookie year, 20 doubles, 10 triples, 1 home run, 40 RBIs because he's the leadoff man. Uh, and he had 110 stolen bases his rookie year, and got caught stealing 25 times. He did strike out 115 times. Nowadays that wouldn't be anything, but back then that's a little bit, and 50 walks, and he had a 267 batting average. So he was worth it. He played left field. He did a heck of a job. That year he was rookie of the year and 11th for the MVP. Uh, as his career goes, his first 3 seasons, he stole 100 stolen bases each season. And that's just, 110 stolen bases, 107, and 109. Now, Ricky Henderson stole 100 bases several times too, but not 3 times consecutively. And he led the league his first 6 years in baseball in stolen bases. What was great about that time period is that we all know was the Whitey Herzog years, and Whitey just gave everybody the green light. Everybody ran, and it was just so much fun. Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith, Lonnie Smith, um, Oberfeld would run. George Hendrick took off occasionally. David Green, we would steal 300 bases in a season. But he played from 1985 to 1990 with the Cardinals, 6 years, and he played at the end of the Whitey Herzog years. Of course, Augie passes away. Whitey steps down, and he played one more year after that. He was Rookie of the Year, a 2-time All-Star, and he was an MVP candidate 2 of those years. He had a nice career. He played 13 years in the big leagues. He played, like I said, 6 years with the Cardinals, 3 with the Mets, 2 with the Royals, and then he finished his career playing 1 year with Seattle, 1 with the Reds, and 1 with the Tigers. But he was more than just a one-trick pony. He was such an athletic guy. In the '87 World Series, a lot of people don't know this, but he was the only outfielder in World Series history to throw 2 men out at the plate in Game 7 in World Series history. That's a pretty good accomplishment right there. Either they didn't respect his arm and took a chance, or he just nailed them at the plate, one of the two. But he ended his career with a batting average of 264. That's a solid career. Not a Hall of Famer. He never made the Hall of Fame, but he's in the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame and a big part of those great 80 memories. He I was looking at players similar to him, Vince. Who would you compare him to? And I was running his numbers, and they said Omar Marino. A similar player would be Omar Marino. So all you fans out there who remember Omar Marino, Vince Coleman, similar players, and both parts of very successful teams. The Pirates were very good when Omar Marino played for them. I got so many little statistics here and everything, but I really want to touch on, he was a switch hitter. Cardinals had a lot of switch hitters on those 80s teams too. Like I mentioned before, there was a play where him and Willie stole 4 bases on 1 pitch because Vince overslid third base and took up and got in a rundown and got out of the rundown. He was so fast, and Willie slid just in time in front of the tag at third. So that was phenomenal. Let's see. Memory, four stolen bases. And anyway, I just have so many statistics here on him, but I won't bog you down with that. But I just have such a great memory of Vince Coleman, and he still comes back to the stadium every once in a while for reunions, or if one of his good friends are having a special day, Ozzy or Willie shows up at spring training. Uh, After his playing days, he did do some coaching. He coached with the White Sox and was a running coach and an outfield coach, and the Giants. So he did do some coaching at the end of his career. But anyway, still around the St. Louis area, and I love the guy. And that's my report on Vince Coleman. You remember old Vince? You got some thoughts on him?
Yeah, the thoughts are this. If he wouldn't have been playing on AstroTurf, he probably would have had a longer career. Stealing 300 bases in your first 3 years on that hard turf in St. Louis was not easy on the body. But especially that 85 team, if he got on, he was on second or third, and Tommy Hurd just drove in, 115 runs on like 6, 8 home runs.
Yeah.
They were just,
They're
he
disruptive. They were so disruptive.
didn't get him out. If you didn't strike him out, and you almost had to strike him out or get him to pop out or fly out, because if he hit the ball on the ground, he was good chance going to beat it out. And if he was on first base, you might as well stick him on, put him in scoring position, because he was going to get there.
He had 50 consecutive stolen bases, which was one of the longest streaks. And I remember the Expos threw him out, but he had 50 consecutive. He was the only guy I've ever seen where a ball was hit to second base, just a regular grounder. The guy came up, threw it to first, and Vince legged it out. And of course, I'd be remiss not to mention the Game 4 of the World Series or the playoffs where the tarp ran over him. And it was sort of like, oh, I just had that sick feeling in my stomach. Oh no, that he was one of the guys that just got the whole machine running. Of course, we lost the World Series to the Kansas City Royals that year. He might have made enough of a difference. We could have won it, but who knows? But we didn't.
David Letterman used to do like Halloween costumes that are big this year, and kids would come out, dressed as something goofy. Well, kid comes out with like a hefty bag just wrapped around his leg. David, and what are you? I'm Vince Coleman.
Oh, Dave, I miss him.
That's poor Vince. That was sad. Well, my man is also named Vince. I'll tell you a little story. August 1st, 1966, my parents welcomed me into the world, and my father said, "We shall name him Vincent Lloyd, after Cub radio announcer Vince Lloyd." So I say this joke a lot when I do comedy, that my name is Vincent Lloyd Opera. That's two Italian names stacked on a German name. Literal translation of my name is Jew-hating mob boss. I actually don't have any Italian in me, but I have an Italian first and middle name, and this is why. Vince Lloyd was born Vince Lloyd Skeff in 1917, and Vince Skeff is not a really good radio name, but Vince Lloyd kind of flows off, so he just uses his middle name. And he was a major league announcer for the Cubs for over 30 years. He announced Cub games on the radio from 1954 through 1986. And he was also the first radio voice of the Chicago Bulls. And Lou Boudreau was his color man in the radio booth. They also did Bulls games together. You have a baseball announcer and this Hall of Fame baseball player doing Chicago Bull games. And for the old timers from Illinois, you know that Lou Boudreau was a basketball legend in Illinois back in the 30s. And for the really old time people, Lou Boudreau was known more for basketball than baseball when he was in high school. So Lou Boudreau knew a lot about basketball. Anyway, I'm digressing anyway. He was born in Beresford, South Dakota, and he graduated from Yankton College, which is now a what's it called, defunct? Yeah, there's no Yankton College anymore. But also a graduate of Yankton College was Lyle Alzado.
Oh, yeah.
So in 1940, he started his career doing local radio around the Midwest. Then he served as a U.S. Marine during World War II. It was during the 50s that he was the sidekick to Jack Brickhouse on the Cub games and the White Sox games that were both televised on WGN TV back in the 50s. When Cubs radio play-by-play man Jack Quinlan died in an auto accident during spring training in 1965, Lloyd was promoted to the position of calling the games on the radio, and Lloyd Pettit was brought in to back up Brickhouse. So Lloyd began being on the radio for more than a 20-year run with Hall of Fame shortstop Lou Boudreau, as I said. Announcers have all these like catchphrases like "Harry Carey, holy cow," Jack Brickhouse, back, 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 hey, hey, you know, Milo Hamilton, holy Toledo, and Vince Lloyd was the one who did holy mackerel. So
Okay.
very, very, very spiritual entities in baseball. We have spiritual cows. We have spiritual uh, mackerels. We have a spiritual city of Toledo. Um, but when during the I think it was 71, 72, a fan gave Vince and Lou a cowbell and said, "You need to ring this every time the Cubs hit a home run." And so they did that for the rest of their career in the radio. And a home run, they started calling "There's a bell ringer," and they'd ring the cowbell. It was pretty cool.
I like that.
Vince Lloyd was the first baseball announcer to interview a current U.S. president on TV when he spoke to John F. Kennedy during the White Sox TV pregame show for the traditional Washington, D.C. season opener back in 1961. So kind of his claim to fame. In the 61, 67 season, 67, 66, 67 season, when I was just a baby then. You think I could remember that? That's when he and Boudreaux started doing the Bulls broadcast, which was kind of a little bit of a controversy at that time. We need a basketball man in here. Um, but they did a great job and did the radio for the Bulls for a long time. He also did games for the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Fire, was a soccer team the Chicago had, Big Ten football, and guess what else?
Wrestling?
Pro wrestling, yes. So he retired in 1986. Much like Person, he died of stomach cancer on July 3rd, 2003 in Green Valley, Arizona. And Lou Boudreau was known as he loved ballpark hot dogs. He just loved ballpark hot dogs. So that was kind of his thing, the Lou Boudreau eating the hot dog. So that's who I'm named after. He's kind of a forgotten person. I read one article where he is the radio announcer that should be in the Hall of Fame that isn't in the Hall of Fame, and he's probably not going to make it to the Hall of Fame. He's kind of a forgotten guy, but my family, he'll always be remembered because my dad strangled me with his name. I really like the name because he could have named me Lou Boudreau Opera or Jack Brickhouse Opera or Milo Hamilton Opera or something, Harry Carey Opera, but he named me Vince Lloyd, which kind of goes pretty good. So
I
yeah,
think he should be in the Hall of Fame. We ought to push for that or something. Maybe we can get a rally going or something. I don't know, but I
I was.
that many years being the voice of a team and being that well respected and done all the sports. Man, that's fascinating. I didn't know much about him, to be honest with you.
I I didn't know I was named after him. And I think I was about 8 or 9 years old, and we were um, on vacation in Wisconsin. And my dad was listening to a Cub game, and Lou Boudreau and Vince Lloyd. Hey, he's got my name. So, and my mom said, "You're named after him."
Oh.
Um, but this was 81 or 82. I'm going to a Cub game, and I'm walking in the concourse to go to the bleachers because that's where I sit, because that's where the debauchery was. And I hear a familiar voice, and I look up, and there's Jack Brickhouse walking right in front of me. And it hit me right there. You need to tell him you're named after Vince Lloyd. You need to tell him. You'll probably be put on the radio. You'll probably say, "Oh, I got to introduce you to Vince." But I am such an introvert. Even though that thought crossed my head, I could not bring myself to talk to the great Jack Brickhouse, who is in the Hall of Fame, by the way. So, uh, you ready to open up baseball cards?
I got baseball cards. And I'll say this, Vince, I will talk to anybody. I'll go up and just start a conversation. And I will say this, I get made a fool of, and I'm like, why did I even bother? Maybe 20% of the time. But that other 80% is usually something that I didn't even imagine, and you get such a blessing out of it, or something positive happens out of it. But there is 20% that you just get shot down, or they walk right past you, get out of my way. But the 80% is fantastic. So I say, everybody, if you got an inkling to talk to somebody, you see me or Vince out there, you come up and say, hey.
Well, I people don't believe me. Um, I've I've got social anxiety. I can talk to a group of people. I have no problem doing that. One on one, small talk is just something that gives me a lot of anxiety. And I always thought, what's wrong with me? Because when I went to seminary, and I'm going into the ministry, they give you a bunch of personality tests, and I find out like 90% of all ministers are extroverts, and the other 10% are introverts. And those are the ones who are like, oh man, they're like me, So it was kind of weird, but I learned how to public speak, and I became very good at it. Um, but then when you're done and you're done, and you have people walking up to you saying you did a good job, it's like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever been through. I would, you know, really, really difficult. And I have friends that, know me all my life. Says, I can't believe you have social anxiety. You speak in front of people all the time. It's completely different. It's completely different. So,
Okay.
uh, but anyway, enough about my psychosis that you've just lived through with me. I'm opening up Dondrus,
Oh, yeah.
and I think this is from, it's one of those ones where I got to open it up and see what year it is.
Maybe 81, maybe there.
I don't think they're that old. Let's see, 90. So,
All right. All right. I'm opening up Tom Maget again, sponsored, and I have the 2024 Series 1 with the Ronald Acuna Jr. picture up here. So that's what I'm opening up. Thank you, Tom.
see, if I wasn't an introvert, maybe I'd have friends who would sponsor my baseball cards.
Yeah, he loves it. He goes, JJ, I got another couple packs for it. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. You want to
Uh,
go first?
oh, sure. The first piece I have is a puzzle piece, and it's of Carl Yastrzemski. I
Ah,
don't know what that is of
I'm not
Carl.
sure. Necktie, maybe? I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure, but there's something there. Oh, former All-Star catcher Benito Santiago.
Oh, I loved him. He was so good.
He was a complete catcher, both offensively and defensively.
I think he stole 30 bases in a season, too.
No, you're kidding me. I know he
I
had a
th
long.
I thought he was a base stealer as well.
Did they have stolen base on this? No, I do know that I think it was his rookie year. He had like a 30-game hitting streak.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What a
Yeah.
guy. Uh, Scott Bales, we've had him before.
Oh,
Guy
yeah.
I thought would be much more than what he was. Former Cub Kevin Tapani.
Oh, yes. I don't remember him as a Cub, though. I remember him as a twin.
Yeah, yep. His brother was Kevin Tappan Elbow. Oh, I got all
Oh,
Carlton Fisk
oh, punch. There you go. Red Sox, White Sox.
and former Cleveland outfielder, also outfielder for the Braves, fourth outfielder, Deion James.
Sort of remember him. Not too well, though.
Got another Hall of Famer.
Hey, hey.
1,000 hits, 500 home runs, switch hitter. You know who I'm talking about? Eddie Murray.
Oh, yeah. Professional hitter.
Oh, former Cardinal, former Philly, good fourth outfielder, Milt Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good
Uh,
part of a team.
former pitcher for Southern Illinois University, former All-Star, Dave Stieb.
I didn't know he played for Southern Illinois.
Yes, he did.
He was the ace of the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Yeah, he came off a 17-8 record with a 3.35 ERA. The year before, he was 16-8, 3.04. Very good pitcher. Oh, man, I'm doing good. Former Cy Young Award winner for the Pirates, Doug Drabeck.
Outstanding. They're ace.
My gosh, this guy could possibly be a Hall of Famer. He's overlooked. Former Expo, former Rocky, former Cardinal, Andres Galarraga.
Yes. Big part of that Rocky team. All four. They had four guys that could just light it up.
This is like the best package, and I've still got more cards.
Man.
Oh my gosh, Hall of Famer Cal Ripken.
MVP.
Father of Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Sr.
Griffey. Played with his son.
Oh, the Hall of Very Good recently passed away. This is when he's concluding his career with the Royals. Billy Buckner, former Cub.
Billy Buckner, good player.
On one of the greatest episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, too. Former Reds outfielder Herm Winningham.
I know a little about it. Maybe an Expo, too, maybe at one time.
Oh, and this is a guy who was getting Hall of Fame momentum. And then it's came out that he's done some not so good things with his relationships. Omar Vizquel.
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, he's yeah,
Had some issues.
spousal abuse that is and that really shot down the Hall of Fame talk pretty quick after that. That's my package. I think that's the best package I may have ever opened up.
That was a great one. I mean, we went from your best card being Pete Rose Jr., and you had a bunch of Hall of Famers and great players, all-stars right there. Well, I haven't looked at any of these yet. This is I like to shoot this 2024 series one. They commemorate a lot of great moments, and this is a Carlos Correa getting a shower on the sideline after probably a walk-off hit or something like that. I like those moments where the team comes together and they throw a pie in your face or whatever, shaving cream. This guy, I believe, is hurt. Emmanuel Klaus of the Guardians.
Yeah.
He was their big reliever. That was a big blow losing him. I think I'm pretty sure that guy got hurt. This guy is one of my favorite relievers of baseball. David Bednard of the Pirates, and he was on Team USA. Very good pitcher. That's a guy you can win with. He's a top-notch reliever, I believe. He's a big part of the community in Pittsburgh too. I've seen many interviews with him, and he's just a top-notch individual and does a lot of things. Anthony Volpe of the there he is, a future star of the Yankees. They believe, and that's tough shoes to follow because he's the shortstop coming in after Jeter. So good luck there. This guy, one of the captains through the years of the Yankees, Aaron Judge, and I just think we don't realize how great this guy is. I mean, I think we know, wow, this guy's great, but guys like this don't come along. A guy, what is he, 6'7", center fielder, can hit. He's getting hot again, Vince. He's on a hot streak right now. They booed him early in the year. Shame on you, Yankee fans. You guys should be honored to have this guy out there. What a class
They
act.
don't deserve a player who makes outs. He makes out 7 out of 10 times. He's run 7 out of 10 times. What's wrong with this guy? We don't deserve this.
He needs to come to St. Louis. We'd build a statue of him, put it out there with stands. Man, what are they thinking? This kid, I really like watching this kid play with the Astros. I think he's the next generation of players to play with the Astros. Chase McCormick, and there he is making I think that was a playoff game. He made that catch and saved the day. Him and Tucker in the outfield. That's a fantastic outfield. and they ought to be good for years to come. Although the Astros are showing little signs of life here. I know we're supposed to be showing baseball cards, but I get carried away. Miles Michaelis has had a nice career with the Cardinals, coming back over from Japan where he was playing, and I think he's 3-5 this year. Henry Davis of the Pirates, they got some good young players. There's one of them, Henry Davis. I just love these cards, by the way. The look of them. Uh-oh, here we go. You name a guy on the show, they show up in the cards. And I think Vince is a big fan of this guy, Justin Steele.
That's done.
Look at that. I'm not a big fan of those uniforms. You guys have.
I love the Wrigleyville uniform.
You do? Is that the Wrigleyville ones right there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love y'all's blue jerseys with the bear on the sleeve. I love them. Them are the ones I like. Oh, this kid, man, the Yankees keep putting up guys. Clark Schmidt right there. Another good pitcher. A lot of potential. A lot of potential. This guy, I like him because he's built like me. There's not many guys that make it all the way to the big leagues. It looks like Lance Lynn's kind of been on my diet too. But this guy here, Daniel Vogelbach, right there, playing in the beer leagues. And my final card is Edney Rodriguez of the Pirates. I honestly do not know much about this guy, but that's a good-looking card, and it's his rookie card. Right there, you see the RC. So anyway, Vince, that's it for my cards this week.
All right. Well, JJ, it's been fun.
Had a great time.
I know a lot of our viewers, the lion's share are Cardinal fans. And hey, man, bad lulls happen in team history. It's just a couple of decades without a lull. So
oh yeah, the Vern Rapp years, the Kenny Boyer years, and the 70s, the whole entire 70s.
yeah.
Ooh, they were rough.
Yeah, I understand because I'm a fan and I feel frustration too, but you know, when you pull back the curtain to see the grand scope of things, there are 30 teams paying their players millions of dollars to try to win the World Series. It's not going to happen every year, and it doesn't happen that often. And sometimes it's just not your time. And I'm confident the Cardinals will rebuild, figure it out.
It's fun watching you guys. I like seeing these young guys, and you put together these free agents and trades, and it's all coming together. You got a top-notch manager. It's gonna be fun
to watch. We're losing 7-0. We got shut out last night. We're getting shut out again.
Oh man, that hurts.
Watch us.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm angry.
Oh.
It's not Flag Day yet. We're all okay.
We're all okay. Still yet, huh?
Or just an 8-2 week of climbing right, or 8-2 10-game stretch of climbing right back into it. It's no big deal. So, all right. Well, JJ, I will talk to you next week, and we will see you. Bye-bye.
Take care.